If you're new, press the bell icon to get the latest notifications.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Bitcoin update today. So I do see that Bitcoin is probably down at the moment, but there are some few patterns that I will quickly want to talk about in this update for Bitcoin. And if you do look at Bitcoin at the moment, number one is I'm going to tell you some few patterns starting from the weekly as well. Or maybe let's actually start from the stupid BART pattern, by the way. Let's go to the 15 minutes time frame. And it does seem like you're making a very long range in the... Look, some people wonder, what is this? Okay, it's just the same question as what was this as well. Okay, now this is more like a BART pattern, and we can actually go here and we can talk about the BART pattern. And I'm gonna check this out from the images right there. So here we go. So it does look something like this pretty much, because of the famous head of the Simpsons where they had this BART headed thing. I don't know, so it's something like that, very similar to this one, but in the opposite direction. So this was a bad pattern, that's a bad pattern as well, and you can even expect Bitcoin to go up, back up. Now that's the number one thing I want to talk about. The second thing that I want to talk about is the daily time frame. Now I didn't notice this, but I came to notice that the daily time frame has an information. Now in order for me to explain this pattern, I want to take you back to a time when we had this pattern as well. What is this? When you look at this place, you might see some random candles that printed out, but actually what happened is you had Bitcoin that went for a rising wedge. Okay, and I told you about this rising wedge, and the technical target for that rising wedge was met. Okay, you went up like this, coiled up a little bit, break to the downside, you came back to where you started the rising wedge, which was at $18,000, all the way from $25,000. So you did actually ended up to $18,000. So what pattern do we have now? The pattern that we have is something that many people might not even know, and it's just the opposite of a rising wedge. Now, if you look at the rising wedge, it's like it's the mirror effect. Okay, I'm just going to call this the mirror effect. If you look at this one, we have something like this and something like that. If you flip this rising wedge, you get something known as ascending triangle, ascending broadening wedge. Actually, that's the actual name. So you flip the rising wedge, you flip it to the opposite direction, and you get something like that. Okay, you get something like this, and I'm just going to actually point out just a little bit like that, and then you have something like that as well, if it does make sense. So if you look at the rising wedge, it's like you're pushing to the upside and narrowing as you go, and this one is broadening as you go. So this is known as ascending broadening wedge. And the thing is that this pattern shows that Bitcoin is coming down to nearly $20,523, because that's where the technical target is going to be. It's just like the rising wedge, wherever you broke out and you came, for example here, I'm just going to leave it like this, from wherever you broke or started the wedge, actually that's where the technical target is, and this is where the wedge is starting, so your technical target is down in $20,500. Pretty simple. Now the last thing to talk about is final two things actually before I go to the weekly is, number one, you have this one support, second support, you've lost the support, by the way, so you are looking for that retest a little bit, and you're looking to continue even lower. So don't expect Bitcoin to pump just yet. And one final thing is, if today you do go down there, or today you come near $21,689, then you're going to be printing in an evening star on the weekly. So these three candles are going to be the evening star, and today's the last day of this week. So where you close in the next 10 hours is going to be quite important. So that's it for this Bitcoin update today, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.